124 billion US dollars. That is the size of the entire tech sales industry at the moment in 2026, not tech as a whole. Tech is obviously a trillion dollar industry. But when most people hear about tech sales, they think selling phone lines to people in the street or broadband packages. A lot of people don't actually know what the industry is actually about. And this is probably the most common question I get on a daily basis. Zach, what is tech sales exactly? Like, can you explain it to me? So I thought it's about time, sit down, film this video and actually explain to you, not overburden you with information, but just give you a general idea of what it is that I do and what tech sales is actually about. The reason this is so important to clarify is that there's a lot of misinformation out there online. This industry is taking regular people like myself and completely changing their lives. No degree required, no actual previous tech or sales skills required, and you being able to go ahead and work with some of the biggest companies on the face of the planet. It's the same skills that allowed me as a person to go ahead and go from having no idea what tech sales even was and just basically picturing Wolf of Wall Street in my head to being able to earn well over 6 figures in just under 12 months by developing my skills and working and progressing in the right way. I mean, to give you a bit of context and background as to who I am and why I'm actually qualified to even speak on this subject. My name is Zakaria Adam. I'm a senior global account executive working in the cyberspace. I managed to actually progress to the account executive position in record time within my company in just under 12 months. I essentially went from working airport shifts as a baggage handler in the UK to being able to actually travel from these same airports, negotiate deals on a global scale, whether working in the Middle East, Africa, Europe, the US, and also Far East Asia as well. I've already made a full video on my channel discussing my actual story, how I actually got into tech sales. But in short, I think I found tech sales when I had absolutely nothing going for me. And from the back of that, being able to train others to go and do the same, I founded the Silicon Sales Institute, helping young, motivated individuals who have the right skill set, have the right drive, actually go ahead and take the same path that I did by proving that they have the skills to hiring managers and being able to go and, change the trajectory of their lives in the fastest growing industry at the moment. I want to be able to help as many people as possible do the exact same thing, if they, of course, want to do it. Again, it's never a case where if someone doesn't want to do something, you can't make them do it. But if someone does want to do it, I want to be able to help you and answer any questions that you have. So let's get straight into this video. What exactly is tech sales? Before I actually go ahead and get into what exactly tech sales is and being able to break it down for you, for someone who may never have heard about the industry before, I want to be able to explain as to why I'm so passionate about this and why I am genuinely of the opinion that tech sales is the best career, the very best career that anyone under the age of 40 or someone who's an aspiring entrepreneur can get into. At the moment, tech sales in and of itself sits at the intersection of two places. It sits at the intersection of the fastest growing industry in the world at the moment, which is the technology sector, and the best skill that any individual or specifically any aspiring entrepreneur can learn, which is sales. So combining the two, you've really hit the sweet spot. Now, unlike most high paying careers out there, there's no, really high ceiling, expensive ceiling that you need to hit or qualifications that are specific to tech sales that you need for you to actually be able to enter the industry and perform to the highest standard. Your performance equals your progression and your results speak far louder than anything that you say, meaning the number of deals that you progress, the number of opportunities that you qualify as an SDR, the number of, your revenue target and how close you were to actually hitting that, which I'll go into in a little bit more detail further along in the video. It's also the one industry that, the majority of successful entrepreneurs recommend people getting started in, which is the sales industry. There's not a lot that needs to be said on that, but if you understand why they would recommend it, it allows you to see the benefits and the fruits of being able to essentially do an apprenticeship, learn on the job whilst being paid quite handsomely. So in a nutshell, what exactly is tech sales? It's very, very simple to understand. It's a B2B process, meaning a business that has something to offer, a service or a product, selling that to another business, okay? And you are essentially the middle point of that, being able to connect the two by selling the software or solution that your business that you're representing has to actually offer to the market, right? Now, these businesses that are actually purchasing these products and solutions are spending anywhere from $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1,000,000, $5 million plus on this piece of software infrastructure that actually solves the pains, problems, challenges that they're suffering at the time, and it fits in nicely into their current infrastructure. That's it. That's exactly what it is in a nutshell. And because these companies are spending so much money on these softwares and solutions, it's the reason as to why tech sales professionals earning commission in the middle are able to be paid so well. Now, there's lots of different positions within tech sales and a chain, and also a team working together to be able to make that sort of transaction and that sort of purchase happen. The entry point for everyone is the SDR position, which is where we have our focus in the Silicon Sales Institute to help people break into the industry. The SDR's position is very, very simple. Their job is to work alongside their team and the account executives, which is the individual that's just above them, to be able to book, qualify meetings and appointments with potential prospects that have these pains and challenges that need solving, and they're in desperate need of these problems being solved, to then go and give these leads or these meetings, let's just keep the terminology simple, to the account executives so they can go ahead and progress the deals. Now, the SDRs in and of themselves are actually paid in the various different ways, whether it's per meeting, whether it's a split revenue of the actual final deal that's actually closed by the account executive, or sometimes even a combination of both. Now, again, typically for someone to get into the SDR position, there's not really a degree that's required or any previous experience that's required. However, the key thing is that because the industry is so competitive now, this individual needs to be able to demonstrate and prove that they can do the job before they get into the SDR position. It's one of the reasons why people without any experience struggle getting this SDR role. They are obviously paid a base salary alongside this commission structure that I just spoke about. But this is essentially, in a nutshell, the first position or the entry level position as to the tech sales ecosystem, you could say. Now, in terms of earnings, the SDR can earn anywhere from $65,000 to $90,000, $95,000, $100,000 in their first year. OTE, which is the combination again of the base salary and the commission. But again, I've actually made an entire video really breaking down in depth the tech sales salaries and the progression. So I'll link it somewhere here on the video. Just have a look for it if you're actually interested in learning about how people are earning within tech sales. So then the next step up from the SDR is the account executive position. And this is where things start to get really serious. The account executive is actually responsible for running the entire deal cycle from the start all the way to it being closed and essentially the company being paid. They are responsible for running the discovery calls, running any proof of concepts or POCs, which are essentially testing the software in the live infrastructure and environment of the company. Any contract negotiations and anything else that actually surrounds that. There's a lot more to it, but in essence, this is what the account executive is responsible for. Now, these deals being closed are anywhere from, again, if you're an SMB account executive, which is small, medium business account executive, mid-market account executive, or enterprise account executive, the deal sizes vary drastically, anywhere from $50,000 all the way to millions and millions of dollars. An SDR can typically expect to be promoted within the same company from the SDR position to the account executive position, anywhere from 12 to 18 to 24 months, sometimes a little bit longer, depending on the company, its status, its caliber, and how big they actually are. But again, people who work in startups and companies that they actually help to grow and their sales skills directly have an impact on the revenue and they can actually see that, they're the ones that typically get to, hit those numbers and also that trajectory in terms of progression a lot quicker and a lot sooner, sometimes even under 12 months, like I was able to do. Now, when someone is able to reach the senior account executive or enterprise level, we could say, you're now selling to Fortune 500 clients, the biggest companies out there with, anywhere from 20,000, 50,000 employees and so on and so forth. And they are now running very few deal cycles within the year. But if one of those pays off, that could potentially mean a check of $100,000, $200,000. Even I've seen in my own career, millions of dollars just in the commission. That's without the base salary. So the stakes for enterprise account executives is a lot higher. But again, it's kind of a risk to reward ratio that's really in their favor. And that's why people who run enterprise deals are usually very experienced. They have a minimum of 5 years of experience, and they're able to actually build relationships with these companies internally and prospect into them in the very best way. Now, if you are looking to actually break into tech sales yourself and you've come to the conclusion that it might actually be a right fit for you, click the link below, apply to the Silicon Sales Institute, where we help people and individuals break into tech sales, earning anywhere from 65,000 to 95,000 USD OTE in their first year, in under 30 to 45 days. So if you are interested, have a look for the link below, and we'll see you on the other side. Now, another question that I keep getting asked by individuals is, do you need a degree to actually break into tech sales? The reality is hiring managers and sales managers do not care about your degree. Did you do medicine? Did you do economics? Did you do pharmacy? Did you do law? It doesn't really matter. Your background, especially the backgrounds that we see in the individuals that we've actually trained, are coming from, again, the medical industry. They're coming from engineering. They're coming from hospitality. They're coming from care work. Some of them even unemployed and have been since they've actually graduated from uni. That's a whole nother story and something I don't really want to get into at the moment. But the reality is, these hiring managers are more worried about proof of skills rather than you being able to demonstrate that you've got a piece of paper from a university degree that you've paid 27 grand for. However, I do want to caveat this. Hiring managers, although they don't look for degrees, they are looking for experience. And what do I mean by experience? They want to know that if you come into the role and they are now going to be responsible for you, are you going to be able to do the job? Are you going to be able to hit quota? Are you going to be able to prospect? Are you going to be able to objection handle? Are you going to be able to actually build the relationships and use your tonality and your prospecting skills to be able to break into the accounts that are necessary? So it's always a catch-22. You need experience to get hired, but how on earth are you supposed to get the experience if no one's even willing to give you a shot in the first place? And it's one of the reasons why people who actually graduate from university aren't able to get jobs in their relevant industries that they were trying to get into, because the degree itself wasn't viable for them. They were told, okay, we're looking for someone who's more experienced than yourself, which is it's a real shame, and it's something that I absolutely hate. The fix in tech sales specifically is very simple. Build proof before you apply. Show that you can actually sell, show your tech sales skills before you go ahead and even submit any sort of application. And it's the entire reason we built the Silicon Sales Institute and why we've had such success with it. When it comes to you being able to successfully land your first SDR role, words are cheap. You showing that you've got maybe even previous sales experience in another industry doesn't really matter to them. It's about being able to provide tangible results. So what industries and verticals actually exist within tech sales? You have so many different types of companies out there, whether it gets to cybersecurity, AI, data, marketing tech, health tech. All of these have different solutions and softwares that they're selling that represent and solve problems for a very specific type of company. For example, you have cybersecurity, which is obviously the industry that I work in. You have big players in the game like Zscaler, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, SentinelOne, Fortinet. These companies are there to essentially protect the data and make sure that privacy isn't breached in any way. And this is something that's not ever going to go away, and it's only growing. You have cloud infrastructure, for example, companies like Azure, AWS, Snowflake, Databricks. These are companies that are essentially hosting people's data in the cloud. You have fintech, where people are actually selling to financial services businesses to help with their day-to-day activities, the likes of Stripe, the likes of Rippling, the likes of Square. Right now, at the moment, probably the fastest growing vertical out there, AI and artificial intelligence. everyone is buying AI tools right now in so many different sectors. The likes of Anthropic, OpenAI, Nvidia, these are big, big players. And every day we're seeing new startups that are actually looking to sell AI services, AI solutions. And it's actually one of the biggest transition points for students from the Silicon Sales Institute, where they are going and now selling AI services to companies out there because of the need for AI. You have marketing tech, for example, and CRM technology. Tools like HubSpot, Klaviyo, Salesforce, MailChimp. These are essentially softwares that help, firstly, to market the product, push word out there about what it is that they're actually selling, and secondly, manage that relationship between themselves, their services, and the customers. And that's why we call them CRM tools, customer relationship management tools. You then have other really niche industries like health tech, green tech, med tech that are slowly growing, especially with the integration of AI, and are really targeting a very, very specific sector. We have students that are especially transitioning from, for example, medicine, being radiographers or doctors, and they're getting into tech sales. And because of their background knowledge of their industry, they are really suited and doing really, really well selling, med tech solutions, or if they're coming from a HR background, selling HR solutions. The main point is not exactly what industry is out there, but it's whatever industry or whatever your particular interests are, there is a vertical aligned to it. It's just about finding and making sure that you do your research. To make this easier for you, we've actually got something that was previously private to only the students within the Silicon Sales Institute, but we've now decided to make it public just because there was such a high demand for it. It's a personality quiz that aligns your personality by asking you a very, very specific set of questions, and then tailoring that and aligning you to the best suited vertical or industry. With so many to choose from, it can be so confusing, and it aligns you to that. So if you are actually interested in finding out what industry would be best suited to yourself, check it out in the description below. Now, the final and probably the most important point that I'm going to make is, why is tech sales by far, the best industry that someone can get into? The first point that I'm going to make is only for aspiring entrepreneurs. So if you're not someone who's looking to potentially set up a business in the future, then just ignore this point. But essentially, if you're an individual that's potentially looking to go out and start your own business in the future, where 99% of people go out and start businesses, but they actually fail, there's a reason for that. And the main reason is because they don't have the necessary knowledge, skill set, or discipline to be able to go and run a successful business, launch, start, market, sell into that vertical. When you work in tech sales, you are day to day being paid to essentially help to run a business for a company and generate revenue. The main thing and the main reasons why businesses operate and run, unless they are, of course, like NGOs or charities, for example, is to be able to generate profit and generate revenue. So if you are now at the forefront of the company, you are learning how to qualify, you are learning how to objection handle, you are learning how to prospect, you are learning how to negotiate, you are learning how to build relationships. All of these things are things that people have never been exposed to, have never learned how to actually do with specific frameworks and methodologies. And there's a reason as to why they end up failing in their businesses. Not only that, you're getting paid handsomely to do so. It's very rare to find an industry that, based on your performance and based on how well you actually do, you're able to hit six figures in under 24 months, 18 months, like we've seen in tech sales. You can most definitely out-earn doctors, lawyers, consultants with just 12, 18 months of focused effort, which unfortunately the majority of people aren't willing to put in. And that's why we are very selective as to who we choose to work with, because the reality is it is a high pressure industry and not everyone is cut out for it. The second reason is the remote working element. Remote work now in tech sales is not a perk as it used to be beforehand. It's more of a standard. Being able to have a completely remote setup is not out of the norm. It's not out of the question. It's what I have, and it's the arrangement that I have, and the majority of my colleagues and friends and people that are within the industry have. But there are also hybrid setups out there, of course, and there are a very, very few still. There is also a very select few companies that do completely have, in-office setups. But I mean, whenever I hear about these companies, their top talent always leaves because I mean, some people just want to be able to have that flexibility to work remotely. And in an industry like tech sales, it's ever more possible every single day. And more companies are taking a remote first approach ever since COVID, especially. It's one of the main reasons as to why I've been able to work from places like China, Zanzibar, Malaysia, Thailand, all over North Africa, so that I can actually have the perks and things that I want in my life. But that doesn't mean by any means that you can just basically have holidays whenever you want. No, it means you have to be even more focused and even more disciplined than the average person who actually has to come into the office 5 days a week. But that's a whole nother topic. When it comes to meritocracy and office politics exist everywhere. But one of the things that I love about tech sales in comparison to other industries is very simply that your performance determines how you're treated. Your performance and your skills is really what determines whether you get the next promotion and not whether your boss really likes you. Of course, your boss has got to like you. It's not a thing where you have to go ahead and make sure that they like you and do everything that they can to make sure that they like you. But in essence, the point that I'm trying to make, it's a very, very performance metric based industry. Some people don't like that. I absolutely love that, because then it's not a question of the color of my skin. It's not a question of my religion, my background, the way I talk, the way I communicate, whether someone likes me or not. It's simply, am I good enough? Have I performed? It's all done. Another big question that I get asked on a regular basis, especially recently, and again, it also comes into one of the reasons as to why tech sales is probably the best industry to get into, is, will AI replace tech sales professionals and SDRs? And the simple answer to that is a very strong no. We're now more than ever seeing AI agents and AI infrastructure replacing a lot of jobs out there, which is, it makes sense. These AIs are capable of doing manual, laborious tasks that humans just can't do as efficiently. However, when it comes to sales, there are very intricate skills, especially on a human level, where people are purchasing technology that goes, into the millions of dollars. These companies want a specialist who understands the product to be able to walk them through the entire journey, with some of these deal cycles lasting, 3 months, 6 months, in cyber especially, even years, right? So a company that's taking on this sort of project to actually integrate a software that's going to change how they do things, the reality is a human will always be at the forefront of leading a project of this nature. Someone does not want to react, firstly, interact, or be able to negotiate with an AI bot for that extended period length of time. There are nuances that are required that only humans and sales professionals can execute on. Now, that being said, the SDRs, reps, account executives that actually embrace AI into their workflow are going to be far, far more valuable, far, far more productive, and hit their revenue target a lot quicker than those who refuse to look at AI and actually refuse to embrace it and integrate it into their workflow. The bottom line is, being in an industry that allows you to learn the skills that allow you to be a future entrepreneur, have a high paying role, a remote lifestyle, fast progression, and being able to work at the forefront of the fastest growing industry out there. For me, there is not an industry out there that can compare to this. It doesn't even come close. But if I was talking personally, for me, from my perspective, and one of the reasons why I got into the industry, if I could select one, just this, even if I wasn't getting paid as well, even if I wasn't able to work remotely, even if I wasn't able to progress as fast, just the fact alone that I was able to learn all the skills necessary for me to go and start my own business in the future, whether it's 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows? That in and of itself and alone would be enough of a reason for me to fully throw myself into the industry and learn and absorb as much as I could. So anyway, there's a lot that I could have spoken and really gone into a lot of detail about, but I wanted to keep this video as short as possible, even though I know it may have been a lot of information to take on board. You might be thinking to yourself, how can I actually go ahead and get started? Where can I learn the skills to be able to land potentially my first ever SDR role? Well, don't worry, I got you. I've actually created and spent a lot of effort and a lot of time into developing a completely free 5-hour tech sales course that gives you everything that you need and all the knowledge. And again, if you're an individual that doesn't want to potentially spend all that time learning that, but also go into the application stage alone and build your portfolio on your own. We've of course got the Silicon Sales Institute, the #1 high performance institute globally that helps individuals break into technology sales and the SaaS industry in under 30 to 45 days. So if you're interested in applying and potentially conducting an interview and an assessment with us to see if you're even a right fit in the first place, click the link below and I'll see you on the other side. Now, that being said, I know there's a lot more that I could have touched on. If there's any specific questions that you have, please feel free to either drop a comment down below. It's really, really interesting for me to see what kind of things and what kind of questions people want answered. Sometimes it's a bit hard for us working in the industry every single day to know what it is that people actually want to know about what we do. And if you don't obviously want your comment to be public, make sure you drop me a DM. I'll put a link to my Instagram and my socials down below. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions and point anyone in the right direction if I don't have the answer to the question, because I don't know everything. That's the reality. Thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully this provided and proved to be very beneficial for you.